I'm making more money than I ever have. I'm happier than I ever have, and things are going better than they ever have. And I think it's time that I start sharing how YouTube allowed me to figure all these things out and get to where I'm at now. I spent close to like $50,000 getting all that stuff set up. And I was like, team, we're tossing all these aside. We're not releasing a single one. After I crush 1 million subscribers, I feel like I built up the reputation and the brand and the credibility to be able to talk a lot more than just provide workouts.
Mike Rosa, the chief alien. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on. It's great to meet you.
I appreciate it. Could you explain for people what I'm talking about? What is it, Alien, and your brand and YouTube channel?
I started Anabolic Aliens on YouTube in 2014, and it's turned into much more than just a social media platform. It's really turned into a full business where we do a lot of different things on our website. We built our own app called Exerprise, and we use the social media marketing, which all started as a passion project, as now the fuel toward our actual business.
Yeah, so fitness is the niche here. You just got back from your workout, right? How was it?
I work out every day right now, like 5:30. It's the best way to start the day.
Yeah. Do you feel that best for you at that time? And then other people, do you think different, or?
I think it's most important you just get the workout in when you can. I mean, I've done it all different times throughout the day, but for me, I definitely like the consistency of going every morning, because it's like I know for a fact I can get there before 6 a.m. each day and get the workout in and then start the day. Whereas if it was an afternoon or nighttime, I mean, things come up, things get in the way, so you can throw off the routine.
Yeah, it makes sense. You get that early win over the day. So currently sitting just underneath 1 million subscribers. How do you think your channel's grown so well? Like, or I think COVID lockdowns might have had an impact, right?
COVID was a blessing in disguise for my business. I mean, I specialize in home fitness, so we had a massive boom during the COVID period. But what really sparked all my channel growth was finding the relevancy types of content that I create, meaning I never really chase trends or go for popularity types of content. I really try to provide as much value as possible in very specific niches in fitness that I feel like are missing a lot of content to help them actually get real results. Like, for example, you only have 10 pounds of dumbbells at home and only have 40 minutes to train 4 days a week, or you only have one kettlebell, or you only have one resistance band, one barbell, one weight plate. I really try to specialize in really specific scenarios so everyone has no excuses and can get results.
Yeah, I can verify that your routines definitely helped me a lot, especially in the beginning before I actually was going to a proper gym, just with like body weight, like a couple dumbbells. So yeah, I really appreciate that. That did, I owe a lot of my early gains to you, I think.
I appreciate it, man. It's crazy. Body weight is so underrated. It's amazing how much you can get just from body weight.
Are there any of your are there any of your routines that you often do, like your favorite ones or anything?
Like of my own workouts, or just?
Yeah.
So I always use my 5-minute workouts as like burnouts at the end of my actual workout days. So I would really go to the gym and do a long power building type of routine. So I'm really going heavy with, I mean, I have a lot of power building types of workouts on my channel as well, but I would say most people know me for the more of the home fitness realm. But I still think one of the hardest workouts I've ever made is my intense 5-minute at home quad workout. Do that at the end of your leg day and you're going to be wobbling home.
That one is horrible and amazing at the same time. Yeah. I think that single-handedly grew my quads in the beginning, that one routine.
Yeah, that's great.
It's more of a mental battle, I think, honestly, than physical.
Yeah, it's very different than the standard. I mean, most people do a standard amount of sets and reps where you go for the time intensity elements, you go 5 minutes straight. It's a nonstop level of progression, meaning you get more reps, if you're doing weight, you get more weight. I mean, there's always a way to get better no matter what experience level you are. So it's definitely a mental battle too.
Yeah, it's just that, especially the home workouts, you're getting a lot more of that burn and just really high volume. It's just pain.
All that blood rushing through the muscles.
Yeah, it's good. Were there any like big mistakes or tips, learnings that you had from growing a YouTube channel? If you could like go back and do it all again?
I would not say necessarily had too many mistakes in YouTube, meaning it was really a big passion project for me in the beginning, which allowed me to be able to build what I have today. And what I mean is it took 2 years of releasing a video every single week before I saw even a little bit of traction, before I saw even a cent in revenue. So it was really a consistency game in that regard. I think I made a lot of more business mistakes than growing a YouTube channel mistakes, because I always looked at YouTube as my community, as like my platform, as my marketing funnel. It was never really a revenue source in my eyes of this is going to make me a lot of money. This is more my community, how I build it, and how I can build my business from the YouTube channel. So I would say the biggest thing for YouTube that I would potentially have done differently is maybe gone out and done some more collaborations and met some more people along the way. But I was just so focused on doing my thing that I didn't even really think to go into other realms all the time. So
Yeah, you mentioned you might have made some more business mistakes in YouTube. What could you give some of them?
absolutely. I mean, the beauty of being able to build a community on social media allows you to make mistakes as you figure out the business side of things. If you're really looking to monetize, I mean, you can't really rely on social media, in my opinion, because I mean, YouTube could decide to stop paying you tomorrow. Brand deals could be a thing of the past in a week. You know, things are always changing, but that's why I find it so important to build your own platforms, which is why I built Exercise, my fitness app, and I built AnabolicAliens.com. Now, like mistakes, what I mean is, I've tried a ton of different monetization strategies, and a lot of them were just trying different things, figuring out some things that worked, figuring out some things that didn't work, and then having to keep revamping and finding what really was going to be that monetization factor to get the business to the next level. And I would say that, I've gone through a ton of different email marketing teams. I've done a bunch of different SMS teams. I've tried a whole partner marketplace. I've tried different types of products. I've tried different types of services. I've tried low-end training. I've tried high-end training. There's just so many different strategies that you can implement. And I think the biggest thing that I made a mistake on was trying to do way too many things at once. And that was one of the biggest recommendations I say to people today is you really got to focus on one lane on your monetization strategy to build it up and build it up over a long period of time and make that specific monetization lane one that's going to be able to scale much more rapidly. And when you're working on 10 different things at once, it's really hard to master one of those things, especially when competition is specializing in one thing, or other people are getting more ahead in one area. If you're doing 10 different things, your focus is in 10 different things. And I think that's one of the things that it took me probably like 5 or 6 years to really understand and be able to utilize all these different strategies I've built to now get to the more singular focus I'm on today with my business and how I'm able to scale so much more, how much faster these days.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, especially when you have things like compound interest, where on games like if you're in areas like social media where if you're like 20% better than everyone else, you'll get like outsized returns from like the algorithm and stuff. So how do you look at that with posting on multiple platforms then?
So I always make a point to post on multiple platforms because you don't know what's going to take off on which platform. When I make a short form video, it's going on YouTube, it's going on Instagram, it's going on TikTok, it's going on Twitter, it's going on Facebook. It's going all out on those platforms all at the same time. Now, I would definitely say out of all the platforms that monetize, YouTube is by far superior, always has. Even if it's not what it used to be, it's still so much more profitable than the other types of social medias from the ones that I'm on. But I definitely think it's essential to put yourself out there on all different communities. What I've found is that I have almost about a million on YouTube, and it doesn't correlate over necessarily to my Instagram following or my TikTok following. There's not as much cross promotion as people would assume, and you have different communities on different platforms.
Yeah. How do you maintain your focus with posting on those platforms? Do you have like systems in place to help you kind of automate that? Or I know you have a team, so.
So I listen a lot to my community. I take a lot of ideas from what are recommended, but also I do a lot of series. So for example, my intense 5-minute at-home workout series was one of the first series I actually created, which came into 5-minute dumbbell, 5-minute barbell, 5-minute kettlebell, which then turned into 4-minute Tabata series, all different muscle groups, all different equipment options, and then just all these different workout series. And if you really break that down, that's a lot of videos. And then I created like a 30-day series, and I ended up doing like 8 of those. So 8 times 30, what is that, like 240 videos. I'm pumping out videos like crazy. So content creation has never at all been an issue for me. And if anything, I would just need to expand my team, get more editors and a videographer on board to be able to do more. But ideas are pretty easy when you're producing value, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was talking more about splitting it to all the other platforms, if you're having to go post on Facebook, post it on Instagram, that could be kind of taking time away from other things, which you could be focusing on one platform.
I think you should be cross-promoting on all the platforms because it really doesn't take as much time as you think. I mean, you already did the hard work. You edited the video. You shot the content, you edited the video. You have a short-form video. Why aren't you taking an extra 15, 20 minutes to put it on these other platforms? Even if it takes an extra 2 hours, I mean, you're getting reach to audiences that may have never heard of you. I just think it's very tough when you get into the business side of things to be able to capture all that attention. I mean, if you're putting content and content and content out on all these platforms, if you don't have a method to actually gain the attention of the people who are then going over to your website or going over to your products once you post on these platforms, then you kind of get into a never-ending cycle of creating content but never monetizing it.
Yeah. One guy I follow who's called JK Molina says that likes ain't cash. And if you're building a business through social, that sure, like you want traffic, but you also need to make sure it's actually converting into money, because that's the main thing, right?
There's a big difference between influencing and running a business.
How do you deal with, or well, does this even affect you that like some videos you have like they get millions of views and then some that don't perform so well? Do you just keep going and just learn from it, or does it sometimes feel like, man, I wish that kind of did a bit better?
I don't pay any mind to it at all, actually. I don't really care too much how many views I get. I never really have been a creator who gets hundreds of thousands of views per upload. My videos tend to take off like a couple months after I release them, or they stay kind of consistent in the views. And for me, it's really about providing that value, because when you are able to keep providing value and you're using SEO search, you're trying to get search engine optimization for your videos to be found, you're filling voids on the internet, and those videos will collect over time. My videos from 5-6 years ago, some of them are still getting a couple 100,000 views per month and still making a couple $100, potentially a couple $1,000 per month from 5-6 years ago. So I really think it's a game of just keep putting out content. Make sure it's good content. You want to put out crap, obviously, but if you're putting out value content that's also searchable, that also helps a specific need, then I wouldn't really worry about the views. I think the views take care of themselves. And I've also had videos where, I mean, you take it again into the monetization side of things. YouTube pays out a certain amount. I have a couple videos that have a couple 100,000 views on them, maybe a couple million views, but I've made like a couple 100,000 off of videos that only have a couple thousand views. So it depends what you're trying to go for.
Yeah, you're kind of putting those digital assets up and then they kind of do their thing. Yeah, that makes sense. I did hear you saying that, I think on another podcast, that you were playing kind of the more long game with your content than just like quick hypey videos that kind of die down quickly.
I always have been. I've always been more about the relevancy versus popularity approach. And it has its ups and downs, of course, but I think it's why I've been able to take my time in figuring out the business and, again, make these mistakes to be able to figure out the successes and learn from everything. Because I majored in nutrition. I didn't major in business. I've kind of gotten my MBA by actually going through the process.
Yeah, that's the best way. Just doing the real thing. Nothing beats the real thing. Yeah, could you talk now a bit about your like powerlifting career? I'm pretty sure you were breaking records at like 22 or something. Is that right?
Yeah, I broke a record. I broke the world record for bench press and total weight lifted at like 18 years old. I got into powerlifting really intensely right after I got into fitness. Started competing, and I competed nationally. I broke the records in the RPS Federation, and then broke the Massachusetts record in the USAPL Federation. And I always did drug tested powerlifting. I never took any PEDs. Just a big passion of mine. So I was really got those T-Rex length arms, so I'm able to push real heavy. But my deadlift kind of always held me back, but I was always very, very competitive, especially with my push, and I had a pretty good squat.
Nice. What age did you get into it then? If you're breaking a record at 18, you must have been going pretty young, right?
I started really getting into lifting at like 17, and then I think I just I was pretty good at it naturally, honestly. I just loved lifting heavy. I was very intense training. I never missed a workout session. I loved it that much. I did my first meet. I only did a push-pull meet, and I won the bench press on my very first meet. I was like, oh, damn, I'm pretty good at this. And then I started actually training for powerlifting, and now I was in it for like 6 years.
Yeah, so cool, man. Do you still compete today?
So my last competition, I believe, was like 2019, 2020, that era. I actually fractured my C7 in my neck squatting. So that happened right at the beginning of COVID. Well, it happened actually a while before COVID, but it started to become a problem during COVID when the gyms closed down and I started to do only bodyweight training, some dumbbells and stuff, some lightweight, high intensity stuff. And all of a sudden I couldn't sleep. My neck was killing me. Got an MRI. Turned out I had a lingering C7 fracture from like 2 years ago. Competed twice without even knowing. And it just got so bad. And I haven't competed since, but the last year, I'm 100%. I'm like back to lifting really heavy again. Who knows? I'm debating either getting into potentially a powerlifting meet or my first bodybuilding show. We'll see.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about bodybuilding because I saw a post ages ago, but you looking super shredded, saying that were you planning on doing a show, but like earlier that didn't happen?
So I was planning actually on doing my first physique show in 2020. Because I wasn't lifting heavy at this point, so I was like, let's try something different. And then I signed up for a couple shows. I had Dylan McKenna as my coach actually, and ended up every show I signed up for got canceled because of COVID. So that kind of just got pushed back, and then I haven't picked it back up again. But I'm aching to do a competition again sometime soon.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's awesome. You're in Florida now, right?
Yeah, just moved last July.
Why did you move? I was wondering this.
Be on the beach. I always wanted to live on the beach. And I mean, I work for myself mainly from home, everything virtual, so I could basically be anywhere. Just want to change, be around a different kind of, the fitness industry is booming here. It's warm year round. I do not miss the snow. And I'm living right on the beach, so it's really what I've always dreamed of.
And you came from Massachusetts? Is that
Yes.
right? Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Oh, yeah, I did know that. All right, nice. Another thing I want to ask you about was like your tattoos. I know you have one that says like life is temporary, love is forever. I think I'm getting that right. What do they mean to you, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah. So that tattoo, life is temporary, love is permanent, that was from my uncle who actually passed away. He got brain cancer out of nowhere and passed away pretty young. And it's a picture of me and him looking out at the beach where we go to City Beach every summer. So that's the symbolism there. And then on my arm, I have a rose pointing to 4 o'clock. And that one's actually 4 o'clock inside the rose pointing to 4 o'clock. And that's actually for my grandma. She passed away. And we have these 4 o'clock flowers that are actually in our yard back in Boston. And they bloom to this day. And we put her ashes in there. So that one's representing her. And then on my arm, this one's a bunch of different stuff. This is kind of like, call it like my story. It's just there's family pieces in there. There's my brands in there. There's this one also has my grandparents and the dates they died in there. So this one has a lot of symbolism to me. Each part has some piece of my life into it, and I plan to go all the way down and keep that all kind of about like my story and things that have happened in my life and successes and just things like that. But then I also have all my ribs down, and that one is see through the rough. It's a tiger looking through his claws. And just to be like get through hard times. And I believe that's it at this point.
That's cool. They're almost like documenting it on your arm.
I always say to my mom doesn't like tattoos, so I started getting tattoos. And like, my body is a story.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like if someone is going to get a tattoo, you should definitely get it for like a reason, or like actually have some meaning behind it. People just get like random tattoos. So I don't know why people do that.
I'll never get one that doesn't have meaning for it.
Yeah, I do get that kind of sense from you that you're really like, from your videos, like genuine, and you always seem like really positive. Has there ever been times where, I'm sure there have, but like you've kind of had like big struggles and maybe haven't been so positive and I guess accepting and motivating of other people?
Fitness literally, I would say, saved my life. It keeps everything centered for me, and it really makes that positivity. It comes from like the physical, putting myself like you versus you in the gym. I really believe in that concept, and it's always about pushing yourself to get better. I mean, gym wise, fitness wise, the hardest time has been dealing with my neck problems because I wasn't able to work out the way I loved, and it made me really rethink things. And even to this day, not competing, it took a little bit to get back to like the love of the grind of getting up at 5:30 in the morning, lifting a couple 100 pounds before 6 a.m. and loving that. I mean, I love that. And I'm finally back to that really happy mental place for my fitness. But I never really was like discouraged. It just kind of sucked not being able to do what I love to do. Regarding like business side of things though, absolutely. I mean, it's been a grind, man. I've gone through so many different phases of my development. I've gone through, so I really have like made a lot of mistakes and a lot that have let me become successful today. I mean, I figured out what hadn't worked, gone through a lot of different employees. I've had a bunch of different people part of my team. One of the hardest things for me is getting people into my team because I'm very, very passionate, and the brand really started as a passion project, like about kind of my own life, and it's grown well beyond myself. And the people who come in, they have to also appreciate and respect that passion and deliver that same amount of positivity and energy, because that's the only way that this community is going to keep on growing.
Yeah, I would imagine it'd be hard to find people because this is like your thing, you know, this is thing you've always loved building. And then you have to try and make sure you find other people who love it as much as you. And probably no one loves it as much as you.
That's never going to happen, but I do have a grade of people behind me now, and I'm looking to expand. I mean, the social media side of things, they've really built up, and we're about to hit 1 million on YouTube, and like our app, we have over 450,000 users, and our website, we're getting about 200,000 visitors a month just out of organic traffic. So, I mean, we have a lot of eyes coming to the brand, and I have a lot of plans, and I'm ready. Like, we're at a really great point monetization wise, where we've figured out our strategies. And I feel like after the last decade of being on YouTube, I'm about to really start to take off.
So yeah, you've got it all in place now. It's been cool to see you grow. I'm not actually sure when I found you, like how many subs you had, but I think it was like about 3 years ago, probably now. But that was maybe 300k subs. I have no idea. That feels right. But that really blew you up 2021 and 2020, right?
That went from about 1 million to 2 million views a month to like 9 to 10 million views a month during COVID time. It was crazy.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I did see you were part of the reason I actually made like a YouTube channel as well. Because I think I was dealing with or worrying about judgment, and something I realized, you had a post saying how people used to judge you and how that kind of hurt a lot in the beginning, but you got over it, and then look, here you are now. So that was a big thing for me, so I appreciate that. And one thing I realized recently from this guy called Sam Ovens, he makes like business videos, that when people are judging other people, they feel worried about their judgment, if that makes sense. So if you're not judging other people, you won't fear judgment because you don't judge people, so you don't think other people will do it to you. And that's, I think, why, looking back now, because I was still a bit judgmental of other people and not as positive as I would say I am now, that led to fear. Do you think you had that as well in the beginning?
I think it was a really tough process, and it always is when you start something and kind of go against your normality, in the sense that, like, when I first started, the amount of friends I had who would absolutely make fun of me, think what I'm doing is a complete joke. And I mean, it still happened at like 100,000 subscribers. That's when things, I would say, started to shift a little bit. But like, still at 100,000 subscribers, it's not like we were making a ton of money. Well, we had a little bit of publicity, but like, it shouldn't take that point. And I think it's just sad that kind of people spew their negativity on you, especially when you're trying to start something new. I think there's been a big shift though in the culture. I think it's way more normal to be filming yourself and doing different things in that regard. I mean, I think it's a lot more accepted today than when I was doing it in like 2014. But it was crazy. I was shocked. I remember going home from college. I started as my first year doing Anabolic Aliens. I remember going home, going to a party, and just getting absolutely shit on. Like, everyone making fun of me, people were laughing, and I was just like, okay. I mean, I'm doing my thing. It doesn't affect you guys. Don't affect me. And then I never forgot those people. But it's not like I hold a grudge. I mean, it is what it is. I think realistically, people are afraid to do things for themselves, and they toss that fright on other people.
Yeah, I think Gary Vaynerchuk says that hurt people. And it's like their insecurities, they're putting it on you because they're like, oh, why should they do anything different? They should just, stay with us. And it's an interesting one. But yeah, if you get through that, that's where the big things really happen, because then you're just free to do whatever you want once you drop those chains.
Yeah, you gotta not care. You gotta just believe in what you're doing, and that's why it's a lot easier to do that when you're passionate about it. If you're just trying to put something together and make some money off it, I don't know if Anabolic Aliens would be a thing today if I was in it for the money. Like I was in it to spread a real something that I loved, and that's why I was able to do it for 2 years every single week while getting criticism without making this at all. And it took that amount of effort in order to start actually building something. And once you start, but you got to keep going for years and years and years.
Mm. Yeah, I saw a post from you recently with those guys at, I think it's Colossus Fitness. Is that right?
Plus,
How you
yeah,
were saying how it's really important to surround yourself with positive people. How big has that been in your journey, and how can that help other people?
absolutely essential. And it's somewhat sad in a sense because you outgrow a lot of people as you personally grow. And that's one of the hardest things to understand. And one of the hardest things in the world is to sometimes you have to distance yourself from who you call your friends because they're just at different life points than you. And I mean, if you have you're trying to put in the 12 hours a day and build a business and really put in the time to create something. And then you have your buddies every Friday, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, be like, let's go get wasted and like go out to the bars. And that's all they really care about. And then they're hungover the next day and then nothing gets done. I mean, you have to be able to say no. And if your friends can't respect that and understand the position you're trying to become, a better version of yourself, then they're not really your friends anymore. It's a really hard realization.
Yeah, I've seen that over and over again with me and other people as well. But seeking out similar people has definitely been a massive, if there are already any shortcuts, I think that's one of them. It's just you kind of build on each other instead of trying to tear each other down.
Exactly. I mean, it's I like watching Alex Ramosi, and one thing I love that he says is, I mean, if you are trying to make a lot of money, you can't be listening to someone who doesn't make any money. Like, you have to surround yourself by people who are winning if you want to win. If you're surrounded by people who are losing or who aren't making any money, how are you expected to level up?
Yeah, I love Alex Hormozy. He's got a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, him and Bedros Keuilian are my guys right now.
Wait, who's the other guy?
Bedros Keuilian, check him out.
Yeah, I will do. I've not heard of him, I don't think, somehow. What's your current diet like?
Right now, I'm eating really clean. I'm doing about 2,300 calories per day and about 40% protein, 35% carb, and 25% fat. And I get all my meals delivered right to my door every Monday. All the calories and macros laid out from a meal prep service. It is the best thing in the world, most convenient thing I could ever ask for.
Yeah, it saves a ton of time, right?
It is unbelievable. It's actually shocking. I save money and time. I spend less money on meal prep than going to the grocery store.
Wow. Have you got like a brand deal with them or something, or is this just?
Well, I have a referral system with them, but like naturally, if I were to spend the full amount, I would be. We actually did the math. It was like 180 a week for meal prep, and when we were going shopping, it was like 200.
Wow, fair enough. Yeah. And how many meals a day do you eat?
I'm doing about 4 meals per day with like 2 snacks, so 6 overall.
Do you think that makes a big difference? Because I've heard some people in like the kind of science community say that like eating like whatever 8 times a day isn't really going to make that much difference for muscle growth.
I don't want to go into the science too much because I'm not honestly too sure. I haven't really dug too deep into that regard, but I think the most important thing is getting in calories and your proteins. I mean, I train a bunch of clients and we always have success following the numbers. So you can break it down. If you are someone who's constantly hungry throughout the day, it probably makes more sense to eat multiple meals throughout the day, to keep eating throughout the day. But in my opinion, if you have a calorie goal and a macro goal and you're hitting those numbers, I don't really get to on my clients about how you need to hit those numbers. But like if you have one, because I have some clients who eat 1 meal a day, I have some clients who eat 6 meals a day. I'm like, get in your calories are king, macros are your detail work. If you hit those numbers, we're going to be able to guarantee results.
Yeah, that's the key things. Yeah. What about your recovery? Is there anything you do for that? Stretching, like ice baths or whatever?
I stretch every single day. If I don't stretch, I am feeling it the next day. Dynamic warm up before, static stretching after, and then I get a deep tissue massage once a month. But I definitely need to be doing a lot more because I'm still always sore. My buddy does like 3 massages a week and does like an ice bath every other day. And I'm like, damn, I need to step up my recovery.
Yeah, yeah. Ice baths are they're nice. They're very energizing, but they're also, it takes a bit of getting used to. I don't know if you ever really get used to it.
Yeah, I actually have never done one. I did cold showers for a long time to wake up in the morning, but I've never really done an ice type of recovery intentionally for recovery.
Yeah, yeah. You got to do that. I think that might be
Yeah,
a YouTube short right there.
there we go.
Mike tries his first ice bath. I saw something about an NFT project you're working on. I think you had like an advert in, was it Times Square? Or
Yeah, so we actually had a billboard in Times Square for an NFT collection that we are going to drop, and I completely disbanded that. The reason being, I announced that I was doing it. I was all pumped up. I thought I had a great concept idea down, and I thought it was going to actually provide a lot of value to the community because my whole idea behind creating the NFTs were they were going to be like all-encompassing memberships for my brand. Like you'd get, if you had this token, you'd get my extra price premium. You get like these crazy discounts on the website for being a member, and we'd have like meetups and stuff. Like I had a whole plan, and I even had this crazy idea of actually building a home fitness game in like the metaverse and all on Planet Swoltron. I had these crazy ideas, and this is again one of those examples of what I'd say was a mistake. I I had this awesome concept and that provided a ton of value in my mind, but the skepticism and audience response that I got from announcing that I was doing NFTs was the first time in my entire YouTube career that I got a lot of hate. And I was like, whoa, I was completely shocked. The amount of negative comments, the amount of unsubscribers, the amount of like brutal DMs I got was just unbelievable. And that's all I needed to like. I spent like well over a couple, like close to like $50,000 getting all that stuff set up. And I was like, that team, we're tossing all these aside. We're not releasing a single one. We didn't release a single one. I have like 5,000 of them. And I'm like, yo, guys, the community doesn't want it. That means we're not doing it. I don't go against my community. I mean, my whole brand is built off the community. And that's why you haven't heard anything about them since, because even though there were some people who were like down for the cause and interested in it and were into that space, but it wasn't worth upsetting my community over it.
Yeah, it's a shame because I think in the media NFTs kind of had a bad rap because there's been like quite a few scams and stuff. But I think the underlying technology is actually good and there's definitely use cases. So that is a shame about that.
Yeah, blockchain is very interesting. I find that actual industry pretty interesting. But if you look at NFTs now, I mean, I think like Logan Paul's NFT that he had that he got for like a couple million or a lot of millions is like worth $30 now or something like that. I thought I was reading something about that. But the value of them has significantly dropped. And like you were saying, I mean, there's a huge scamming. I mean, I actually had one of my crypto wallets. I lost like 10 grand out of a crypto wallet because it's such a sketchy industry. And the more I kind of got into it, and after the feedback from the audience, I was like, I don't want my aliens going through this. I don't want them thinking I'm ever going to scam them because like that's just not who I am.
Yeah, it's the Wild West out there. I guess that's what you get in a developing industry. But yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, tons of opportunity in it. Like Gary Vee with his V friends. I mean, he crushed it. But I even remember looking at his comments and how much hate he got. And again, it's like that. It wasn't really about ignoring the hate at that point. It was just about listening to my community and the point I was at with my business. I was like, no matter how much money I could make, it's not worth the negative reputation that it could bring me as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. How has your training kind of changed over the years?
I started with high intensity interval training. My first program ever was Insanity by Sean T. That's what got me hooked into fitness, which resembles a lot of the content I actually create today. But I got into powerlifting right after that and was doing very heavy strength power building type of training for about 6 to 7 years. And then my neck got hurt and I switched back to kind of like body weight, high intensity interval training type of styles, mainly because I wasn't able to really lift heavy weights. I love lifting heavy weights. And I then got into some metabolic conditioning. And now today, my main training style is back to how I love it with power building. But I actually do a lot of, like I just did a 40-mile bike race in New York like last week. And I love doing like a high intensity Fit 45 classes, Orange Theory. Like I just love doing all different types of activities. So main lifting style is power building, and then just doing all different types of. I love cardio these days, which is weird.
That's not supposed to happen. um, yeah, no, I do get the sense that you are always like super disciplined in the gym, but you also manage to maintain like a good balance with your life, like doing like other things as well.
Hmm.
How can people kind of bring that into their life? 'Cause I feel like a lot of people they're like, oh, I'm going to be healthy now. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to eat clean. And now they're like, oh, I can't do anything. I can't go out. I just have to stick to this diet.
I think it depends on exactly what you want to accomplish and how fast you want to accomplish it. I mean, if you're not competing, there's no point you need to be so strict. If you're someone though who has an issue with having like a cheat meal on a Friday night, having an ice cream, and then unable to get back on track the next day, you may need to be extra strict. It really is very case dependent. But I'm a big advocate for food freedom and also like an 80-20 rule. Like I'm pretty strict Monday through Friday afternoon. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm very strict Monday through Friday afternoon, and then Friday afternoon to like Sunday night. I'm probably going out, having some drinks, eating some good food. I'm not really paying attention too much to it because I put in all of my like hard work during the week, and that's why I'm like doing 2,300 calories, which is pretty low for me. My maintenance is like 3,000, so I'm in a pretty big deficit during the week, anticipating that over the weekend I'm probably going to be going over and just not really paying too much attention to it and just enjoying life. But in the beginning, I think if you have a specific goal, like I do 90-day body transformation coaching programs for my clients, and they're very strict during those 90 days because they're signing up to accomplish something within those 90 days. Like if you have a deadline for something you're trying to accomplish, give it your all, like go all in. But if you're like, I want to get here and I want to like keep going with that progressive overload, keep getting closer and closer to that goal, it's not like you have to stop everything else in your life. I think that actually is what makes people be unsuccessful because they end up hating the process and end up actually never getting there because it's too miserable. How are you gonna get there if you're miserable every single day? It's different though if you're competing. You have to be as very strict if you're like stepping on the stage, but again, that's the end goal. You have to date or you're gonna step on the stage. You have to be very strict there. But the average person, I'd say 95% of the population doesn't need to be that strict, but they do need to have an understanding and they need to have a foundation and a set of routine.
Mm. Yeah, that's good advice. I think it's from Daniel from Fitness FAQs has this great quote. It's like, it's better to have a good routine that you stick to than a perfect one that you don't.
Exactly. Exactly.
I often see like your girlfriend in your posts and stuff. I mean, she hasn't really been on the channel or anything, but how has that like helped you, that relationship helped with building the business and stuff?
It's helped a ton in the sense that like, I mean, before when I was single, I mean, I was doing my thing, I was kind of all over the place, and it's like you're missing that stability part of your life where I've been in a very happy relationship for almost 3 years now, and it's allowed that part of my life to cool down, so I'm able to put more focus back into my business. And it's like I feel like when you're missing that, you're missing your person or missing that kind of that piece of your life. You're, I mean, a part of your focus is going into finding that void. And when you fill that void, you're able to not just use that energy to put more into what you're doing, but you have a doubled sense of energy if you find the right person who's also supporting what you do. They're just going to fuel the fire. So I've been very lucky and I'm very happy. And I never really thought I'd be in this point, but things are great.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's good to. It's just great to see you like crushing it, honestly. Um, this is probably one of the last things I ask, but what does the intro say? You know, the intro. There's some. I can't catch it.
The like what like all times, like from the background song, or
Yeah.
what I
It's like echoey. Like, what'd you say? Like old time.
it's the song "I Am Somebody" by Bliss and Esso.
Oh, it's a song. Okay. Yeah, I was like, is this supposed to be like some distorted anabolic aliens thing? I have no idea what this is.
The OG intro with the aliens dropping down, that was saying Earthlings.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I remember that one. I've seen some videos of that. Um, what's next for you? Where's the future for anabolic aliens?
So I'm going to, once I hit 1 million, I have a big game plan to kind of revamp and bring a lot more life back into the brand. and I'm going to be getting more content out, but I'm going to be doing what I always do with the workouts and the fitness content, but I want to start sharing a lot more about what I've been through, like kind of what we talked about today, but a lot more into detail about the mistakes I've made with business, about how my business has been, how YouTube has been able to fuel me to creating a full business. I really want to share more stories about things I've been through. I think I've kept a lot of my business and personal life pretty private, not really a vlogger. So I think at this point, I mean, I feel like I figured it out finally with like the business, with money, with the things I've been trying to accomplish. And it's funny because in the last 6 months, 7 months since I moved to Florida, I've reduced a lot of the content I've been releasing. I did a 30-day series, but I've really not made as much content or prioritized it as much because I've figured out my game plan with business that I've been going like this. I'm making more money than I ever have. I'm happier than I ever have, and things are going better than they ever have. And I think it's time that I start sharing how YouTube allowed me to figure all these things out and get to where I'm at now. So there's a lot more. My main push right now with business is the coaching. I've been working with a couple thousand clients, and it's been absolutely incredible. And I'm really delivering a full experience. So I have a lot more plans to keep optimizing that system, keep optimizing exercise, but content-wise, I think it's time to start sharing a lot more of the behind the scenes of what I've been doing with everything other than just people think I make workout videos on YouTube, because there's just so much more that goes into it. But that's the brand, and I also want to get on another TV show soon, so I'm going to be putting up auditions.
Yeah, because we quickly talk about that. You were on Man versus Bear, right?
Yeah, in 2020.
I actually don't know if people in the UK know what that is. So basically, there's a bunch of physical challenges, right? And I think the one I remember you the most was you were like, the bear's got like a rope in its mouth, and you're like trying to stop it from like tug of warring you into the mud or something.
King of the Mountain. It was a show where you're doing competitions against grizzly bears. They're show bears, and it was a blast. And that I've been aching to do something like that since, but I've just been really focused heavily on building the business up.
Yeah, you got any ideas for which ones you're auditioning for?
I don't want to be. I don't know if I want to be on reality again, but we'll see. I definitely want to start putting my name out there to maybe get some commercial gigs and things like that, because I had so much fun on that show. I really want to do something along those lines again.
Yeah. The first time I saw that, I was like, I cannot believe this is a real TV show. Like, we don't have any dangerous animals in the UK. It's Mike Rosa versus a bear. Like, what is this?
That was so fun.
Yeah. Because you were in a movie as well, weren't you? Or like a YouTube kind of not documentary, like some zombie film.
Yeah, my buddy actually, he makes movies, and I was in one of his movies as a zombie. And yeah, like I said, I'm really into that industry, and I want to get more into doing things like that as well. But that only really can happen if you got everything else figured out, and that's why I'm feeling like able to start putting myself out there again.
Yeah. Heard a lot of people say that you want to build up the business so you actually have the freedom, flexibility to do other things. So that's cool.
Absolutely.
Be interesting to see a bit more of the behind the scenes, because I do find that very interesting when that curtain kind of gets pulled back, because a lot of times people have no idea like everything that goes into it.
Yeah, and I just think, I mean, I've been doing YouTube for a decade. I definitely have a lot to offer in the terms of building an audience, in terms of building a business, in terms of fitness. And like, I just want to be able to help people, and I want to not hide all the things. I feel like I've been kind of not secretive, but I haven't really been too open about all these different lanes that I've been doing, because the reality is people have always come to me for workouts. But I feel like after I crush 1 million subscribers, I'm going to be able to offer and have the reputation. I feel like I've built up the reputation and the brand and the credibility to be able to talk a lot more than just provide workouts.
Yeah, you could definitely, even start to maybe bring in like a different audience, because even if you're not a fitness YouTuber, you can still benefit from the knowledge you would have gained.
Exactly. Well, I always got to stay loyal to the real aliens.
Yeah. I think we'll wrap it up here, Mike. Is there any closing thoughts? Anything you want to leave the audience with?
Well, first off, Owen, I appreciate you having me on the podcast. It's a blast to be able to connect with you. This was really fun. And I think one of the biggest things I want to say to everyone is, if you really believe in what you're doing, just don't stop. Like, it's going to take a lot of time, but if you keep going and get past through all those rough points, it's amazing what you can accomplish. I'm 27 now. I've been doing this since like 18, and I feel literally like my 30. I've set myself up to have the best 30s ever. 20s are overrated, man. 30s are where it's at.
Yeah, and people hear that and think, oh, well, Mike got in at 18, you know. But even if you're not getting in early, like, just get started now. Best time was it? Best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Second best time is now. Like, which might as well, if you want to do something, life's short, you know, make the most of it.
Yeah, exactly. Grind it through.
Yeah. Where can people find you and see more of your stuff?
You can check me out on YouTube, Anabolic Aliens. AnabolicAliens.com is my website, and then Exercise, which is a free download of the app in Play Store.
Yeah, I'll put the links to all of them in the show notes. People can easily find them. Thanks for doing this, Mike. I appreciate it. If I'm in Florida, I might have to come in here and work out or something.
You're more than welcome. Ever in Florida, hit me up.
Sure, that'd be sick. Okay. Yeah, I'm planning on coming to the US. Definitely at some point, sooner rather than later. All right.
Definitely let me.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. We'll talk soon.
Have a good rest of your day. Bye.